Hey guys, Nishquick here. You ever see those guys on Twitter just blabbering about the Xenoblade Chronicles series, how it's so good, all that? Yeah, you see them all over the place, but you ever wondered what this franchise is all about, what makes it so good, what all the chatter is, what all the talk in the town is? Well, today I'm here to give you guys a little guide or insight on the Xenoblade Chronicles series as someone who is somewhat of a veteran. So I've been a fan of Xenoblade for around 2 years now. Not as much as everyone else who's been involved since Operation Rainfall, but I have played through the entirety of Xenoblade 1 Future Connected as well, and Xenoblade 2 and Torna, and playing Xenoblade X on and off. So I thought I'd make this quick little video, like sort of a guide to get into like the Xenoblade series, what to expect, so people know what to expect with Xenoblade 3 coming out this July. And if you guys want to play these amazing games, Definitive Edition and Xenoblade 2 are available on the Switch, and hopefully this video kind of convinces you guys to check them out. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started and let's talk about all the good stuff about Xenoblade Chronicles. Let's go. And just a quick reminder, if you enjoy videos on video game reviews, analysis, usability studies, all that fun stuff, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel Nishquick Pops, turn on notifications so you don't miss a video, and yeah, follow me on Twitch and Twitter as well. Let's get started. Combat is probably one of the biggest hurdles to get past as a Xenoblade newcomer. Seeing something like this and this for the first time is definitely intimidating. It was for me and a bunch of my friends who started the series recently. Here's what I can tell you. Don't be afraid to look at guides. Enel is a great Xenoblade content creator who makes amazing combat guides, and honestly, without his videos, I probably would not have understood the combat of Xenoblade Definitive Edition and definitely Xenoblade 2. Xenoblade 1's combat is easier to understand and is a fantastic starting point for series newcomers. You rely on auto attacks and arts to get damage done, but just a fair warning, don't rely just on auto attacks. They do enough damage to keep you going, but not enough to really down your enemies quickly and efficiently. You'll eventually learn to strategically use your arts to deal extra damage to enemies, which your arts are at the bottom of the screen, which you can toggle with your D-pad. These arts are used to deal extra damage to enemies depending on where you're positioned relative to the enemy, incapacitate your enemies, buff and heal your party members, or deal out debuffs to enemies as well. Each character also plays differently in Xenoblade 1, like Shulk, you're a DPS or glass cannon, Reyn, you're a physical tank, Melia is your mage and ranged magic user, and Ricky is your jack of all trades. Those are just some examples. With the right team and setup, you can execute some amazing combos and powerful chain attacks once you get the hang of all the combat in the game. Xenoblade 2 combat is similar, yet a little different as well. It still has auto attacks and arts, but those lead to blade specials, which in turn lead to blade combos. While managing those things, you also are utilizing 3 different elemental blades and making sure your blade combos end with a different elemental special to create a elemental orb that circles around the enemy, allowing you to break it in a chain attack. Sounds complicated, right? Well, the upside is that with practice and more time with the game, it becomes a lot more manageable and rewarding and really fun. The downside is the tutorials in the game to teach you all these mechanics and combat things are really, really bad. So don't rely on the game. I'll link some great combat tutorials below to help newcomers like you guys out. But I will say, once things are understood, once you have a good setup, Xenoblade 2's combat feels truly amazing. It's one of my favorite combat systems in any game, any JRPG, and taking the time to get used to it really, really pays off. I'll tread lightly here, or I feel like I might spoil something. These two games have phenomenal stories. Very, very well told and well written, with some deeply developed characters and rich world building. I personally love lore in video games. It all started with my obsession with the Legend of Zelda timeline back in middle school. After that, every game, story, movie, show, etc. with the rich lore and world building really hooked me. Xenoblade was exactly that kind of experience. If you like JRPGs, I don't see why you wouldn't like these stories. What makes them even better is that they usually, and I emphasize usually here, don't follow the tropes of many JRPG and anime stories. This is especially the case with Xenoblade 1. The characters aren't your typical archetypal anime characters and are really down to earth. Xenoblade 1 has, in my opinion, one of the best written stories in all of gaming. Best written in the sense that the whole narrative structure is just very well formed. There is never a boring moment in the game's story, and the ending will leave your jaw on the floor. Xenoblade 2, in my opinion, has also a great story, but at times I was wondering where it was going. I was kind of confused by some of the character motivations for a while as well. But once all the questions were answered, it was, as some people have been describing on Twitter, peak fiction. The climax / finale / end sequence of this game is one of the best endings I've ever experienced in a video game, period. One complaint Xenoblade 2 gets, though, is it brings back a lot of the anime tropes and awkward JRPG interactions that are missing from the first game. It's weird, awkward, and people not familiar with anime or JRPG tropes and kind of tone of those kind of media may find the humor a little strange and off-putting, but honestly, just look past it. I just look at it as Monolith Soft being silly and trying to appeal to the Japanese market. So yeah, that's all I'll say about the stories. I'll let you guys experience it all for yourself, and just a fair warning story-wise, it would be a good idea if you at least knew a little bit of the events of the first two games before going into 3. Monolith Soft developed these games. The same dev team that helped flesh out the open world of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, aka one of the best designed open worlds of all time. Though Xenoblade 1 and 2 aren't traditional open world games, the areas you explore are wide, expansive, and truly breathtaking. What I love about them is that they're just visually appealing. Just take a look at the areas like Satoral Marsh and Aerith Sea from Xenoblade 1. And the Kingdom of Uriah and the Leftherian Archipelago from Xenoblade 2. Just very well designed and just fun to explore areas. Since they're segmented and the game is more story-driven, these areas are a little more linear, but exploration is rewarded by finding unique monsters, treasure, and secret areas. Also, these games have a lot of side quests, and just a fair warning, they're not like the usual side quests you might be familiar with in other open-world games or RPGs. Like, they're not as involved as games like Horizon Zero Dawn or Legend of Zelda games or Witcher 3, but here's why I like them. I'm not a fan of powering through the story of a long RPG game like this. I like to pace out the experience and have some downtime in between locations and areas. So when I come across a town, I like to go to get all the side quests I can from the NPCs. And honestly, if there's a day where I'm like really tired after work, or if you're tired after school or whatever you're doing, and you don't really want to play for a long time or just don't feel like continuing the story yet, you can just play in handheld mode and finish off a bunch of backlog side quests to prepare for the journey ahead. That's what I would do sometimes. It's sort of like a chill, laid-back side quest experience in these games. Not very involved, but the rewards are definitely worth it, as they give you some really good gear, weapons, and items, and which really benefit your party. This one's a quick one, but I can't make a video about this series and all the good things about it without mentioning the music at least once. The melodies of this series are written by some of the greatest composers in Japanese video games, such as Yasunori Mitsuda, famous for Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Xenogears, and Xenosaga. Yoko Shimomura, famous for Kingdom Hearts and the Mario Luigi series, and of course Kenji Hiramatsu, Manami Kiyota, and Ace Plus. These amazing composers created some of my favorite melodies in all of gaming. You guys have probably heard some of the amazing tunes in this video alone, but keep your ears perked while playing these games so you can hear some legendary melodies like Engage the Enemy, Counterattack, A Tragic Decision, and Elysium in the Blue Sky. So, what did you think? Are you convinced enough to try out this somewhat daunting but rewarding, amazing RPG series? Well, I hope I did convince you. I hope I didn't scare you guys away. The complicated combat, the annoying anime tropes, the somewhat bland or boring side quests, I guess. You can point those out as things that are not so good about the series, but in my humble opinion, I think there's so much to love about the series. I think it's one of Nintendo's underrated RPG gems in the Nintendo Switch catalog, and just a great set of video games and a great part of the Nintendo franchise catalog. So yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 are amazing RPGs in the Nintendo Switch family. And you of course got Xenoblade Chronicles X as well. Unfortunately still stuck on the Wii U. Please port this over, Nintendo, please. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoy content like this, remember, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, Niche Quick Pops, for more content like this, and yeah, turn on notifications, and yeah, this next couple months are gonna be full of a lot of Xenoblade content, maybe some other RPG content sprinkled in here and there, but we're gearing up towards Xenoblade 3 launch. I'm filming this literally the night before the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Direct is gonna go live, so hopefully we'll get some good news there, and yeah, be on the lookout for more Xenoblade related videos like this. So yeah, this is Niche Quick signing off. Have a great day. See ya.